Is free speech really free? Is what we think to be true actually false? Are we living in a simulation? All jokes aside, how do we separate fact from fiction in a world where misinformation is lurking around every corner, ready to make you think you know what you are talking about when you actually don't? In Florida, over 1,400 books have been banned or restricted in 2023 alone. Florida and 12 other states, including Texas, Missouri, Utah, Pennsylvania, and South Carolina, have successfully banned or restricted over 3,000 books across 120 school districts in these states in 2023 alone. They are doing this under the guise of protecting our children, but they are more than a little misinformed in this endeavor. Book banning has only ever been about two things: power and control. The most famous historical example of this is Nazi Germany. On May 12, 1933, books written by Jewish or anti-German authors were collected and burned, creating a show that only German ideas were acceptable. We see this trend continue in the U.S. during the 1950s, as racial tension was still high. The book bans primarily targeted black and liberal authors, protecting ideas of the Jim Crow laws. An example is The Rabbit's Wedding, a children's book that was targeted for having a white rabbit and a black rabbit married as an interracial couple. Book bans only reinforce white supremacist ideals, but also the traditional ethnic hierarchy and differences in power that exist in the United States. Removing books concerning culturally relevant topics narrows the viewpoint of students and relegates marginalized voices even further. This eradicates any conversation about the diversity that U.S. media often boasts about. Additionally, removing books that mention anything about or are written by members of marginalized ethnic groups spreads the opinion among white students and their parents that things such as white privilege, white fragility, and even racism and inequality as a whole do not exist. Beyond solely books, entire curriculums have come under fire, as some approaches to educating students in apolitical subjects like math have gained the moniker woke. Teaching methodologies that stress the importance of student mental health and understanding different methods for solving problems are regularly decried as Marxist and critical race theory. Moms for Liberty are a prime example of a group committed to banning books and censoring educational material that they deem inappropriate or unsafe for their children. In this clip, you'll see members of Moms for Liberty at a United States school board meeting voicing their criticisms and concerns over certain books being available to their students.
District 2, Moms for Liberty. This is an excerpt from the 4th grade George versus George book, page 48. Besides constantly stealing food and horses, the Redcoats burned entire towns and villages, looted or seized houses, raped and murdered innocent civilians, and set fire to crops in the timberland. British troops locked prisoners in filthy ships where they died from flies, starvation, heat, cold, and disease. Indians fighting alongside the British burned almost 1,000 homes, tortured and killed whole families, and scalped the dead, believing that it would make them more powerful. Some Indians honored their bravest victims by eating them. For revenge, rebel troops sent by Washington destroyed 41 native villages, many which were peaceful, and burned all their crops and orchards. They collected scalps and showed off pairs of pants made from the skins of these dead Indians. While there are other quotes worth mentioning, it is important to note the violent images on these pages I just read, including children running out of their homes being shot, soldiers shooting Indians while females are running away with babes in arms, soldiers setting fires to a house that still has a child alive inside.
Political action committees, or PACs, like Moms for Liberty, are on the front lines of book banning efforts in the United States, and they, along with Florida Citizens Alliance, Utah Parents United, and many other PACs, have a mission that they are clearly committed to. While some of their members may be well-meaning, in the spirit of fighting supposed misinformation, they are only subtracting history and relevant literature from their students' education. Talk about woke math. What do you think? Where do you draw the line on what is educational and what is gratuitous vulgarity?